Hello everyone. In the previous lesson, we have been trying to establish understanding of how are we doing our everyday job, our business as usual. We will try to establish understanding about the value stream and where in the value stream we can recognize some opportunities for improvement or some initiatives for changing in a way these value streams. In this lesson, we will deepen our understanding of these challenges, of these business needs and initiatives, and how are we dealing with them on the strategic and portfolio levels in our enterprises, in our companies. So, as we have already communicated this in the previous lesson, value streams face some point in time for which we need to change them in a way. These initiatives for changing the value stream can come from different sources, but what is common for each and every one of these initiatives? The common thing is that we need to deeply understand, deeply know and become familiar with these initiatives in order to properly address this. This is totally common sense. So all of these initiatives can come from different sources, as I said. So one of these sources can be top-down, such as from strategic planning. So all of your companies have some kind of strategic planning. Strategic planning mostly take place at the very beginning of the year or ending the previous year for the next year and next period. And team that are doing this strategic planning came out with some strategic goals, which needs to be break down in some strategic objectives, and these strategic objectives in some initiatives. And these initiatives are exactly initiatives that we have been addressing in our previous lesson and we have been talking right now. So these initiatives are coming from the top down, from strategic planning, and all of them are there for us to change our value stream. Why is that? When we plan something on a strategic level, we need to change doing our everyday tasks in order to achieve some objectives, some business goals. And we will be able to do so with changing the way how are we doing our business. That's normal. So these initiatives needs to impact, and they will impact something in the value stream. The next source of the initiatives come from the bottom. So it's the bottom up, actually from the business processes. Everything that deals with business process improvements, changing something in the business process, some kind of redesign of the business process, re-engineering or some automatization of the business process in order to improve the process, in order to overcome some impediments, some bottlenecks, something like that in the business processes, and all of those initiatives that come from this source called bottom-up sourced initiatives. We can have the third, and we have third source of initiatives that are coming from external to the company. So this external source deals with all the initiatives that comes from the market, such as market demand, or from some regulators, or from some changing in some laws or some market conditions. In order to overcome that or to comply to some regulations, we need to change something in the way how are we doing our job. And these initiatives called external initiatives. And we have also internal initiatives. Similar to the external, those internal initiatives come mostly from the necessity of the management or some other stuff for having some better support for making decisions, such as reporting or something like that. All of the internal initiatives are as well necessary to be structured in order to properly execute them, so to deliver some value with which we will cover these initiatives. So 4 sources of the initiatives. This is not theoretical approach. This is definitely something that we have as a very fact in each and every company you are dealing with. These initiatives that are in a way potential, that are recognized points with which we will improve or change our value streams, can be to them that can be added some existing projects and programs we are working already on, and our business processes and business as usual. So all of those things are actually depicting our activities within the company. So business as usual, some projects that we undertook because we will recognize with these projects that we will deliver some value based on some initiatives, and some other initiatives as a potential, as a kind of wish lists, are making something called project portfolio, or portfolio of initiatives and existing projects and existing business as usual. We can call that demand side. This is side of demand for some resources such as manpower or some money, of course. What is interesting there? Let us get back for a second to our value streams, because everything starts with the value streams. We said that we have the value streams as a sequence of the steps using which we are delivering some value. But all of these initiatives that we have recognized as a point in time with which we are going to change these value streams, these initiatives are actually triggers for some other value streams, which we call development value streams. And what is this? Actually, these are exactly value streams, but these value streams are there to support the value streams in which we are doing our job, support in a way of delivering them the value with which they will achieve this improvement they communicated they need with these initiatives. As we said, these systems that are supporting the value streams are supported by some people. These people are people who are doing their everyday tasks in the development value streams. So these value streams are supportive value streams to our core value streams. And these people, together with their capabilities, with their number, we can call the supply side. It's not just the number of the people, but also their availability and their capabilities. Try to remind of your company or the company for who you are working some or doing some services. All the time you have some people who possess the unique skill sets, and when they are engaged on some projects, you cannot have them on your project, so you need to wait for them. So this availability and some specific capabilities are also something that are very important for development value streams. This diagram can be used, this is from the economics, but it can be used here in order to better recognize some challenges that we are facing in each and every company in this world. You have the supply side, which are people, capabilities, their availability, their numbers. And we have demand side. Demand side are all of these lists of the initiatives called project portfolio with which we need something to do in order to improve our value streams. So we need to somehow to establish equilibrium, having a demand side, but to that extent that we are able to deliver with our available supply side. This is common sense. But what is the challenge? The usual operational mode of majority of enterprises are in this gray zone, which produces the following effects. Multitasking. How's that? Try to remember. All of the people who are doing, especially who are doing job very good, they are engaged not only on one project in the company, but on 2, 5, or even 10 projects. From my experience, it is a very well-known situation. As better you are, you will be engaged on more and more projects. And this is called multitasking. Actually, multitasking is something that is not entirely true definition, but it's rather task switching, but this is totally another story. The next thing is that these companies are establishing illusion that okay, we are great, we are doing excellent because we do a lot of work. But actually this is not entirely true as well, because we are task switching, we are multitasking, and we are not efficient and not effective in doing our job. Good people get burned out. I think that you can definitely recognize this situation, because good people become overloaded with too many activities, too many jobs, too many tasks switching during this some period of time, that they definitely get burned out and they leave the company. So you are facing with attrition as a consequence of having this situation. So unfortunately, because of not establishing the equilibrium between the demands and wish lists and our availability and our opportunity to deal with these initiatives, you get some of these effects. So attrition, definitely. And as a huge consequence, you have troubled and highly unsuccessful projects. Why? Because you have people who are not working in teams. So the teams are definitely not a list of people or some, you're listing 10 people and say, okay, we have 10 team members. They are not team members if they are not committed to the job. They're not committed to this specific project. So if they're switching their everyday tasks between different projects and they're doing a job for 5, as I said, 5, 10, or even more projects, they're highly unsuccessful to themselves and to the teams. And everything rest leads to highly unsuccessful projects and projects in trouble, actually. So no planning. We haven't got time. We haven't got enough time for this thing of planning. Who cares for planning? We need to do some job, and we are forced and we are pressed, to do some more and more job without properly planning, and that leads to only to having plans without properly planning. And plans are nothing. In planning you have everything, and plans are only there to nail someone. Everything the above leads to the blame culture. So we need to blame someone. Someone needs to take some accountability, and if you are accountable, let me blame you. As well, silo mentality. Silo mentality is so present in these companies. You haven't got teams, as I said previously. You have only illusion of having teams, because when these companies are talking about teams, they're talking about only functional teams within some functional silo. These are not teams. Teams should be multifunctional. group of people who trust each other. So this is totally different approach. Low project management culture is something common to these enterprises. Stakeholders are definitely not focused on their problems, but they are rather focused on creating solutions. I think that you are facing these problems as well. They're not thinking about their problems. Why? Because on the other side, they haven't got enough people who are supporting them, who are supporting their business as usual, their value streams, who will deliver some value for them, who will do some projects for them. And for that purpose, they're starting to think about solutions, putting themselves in the shoes of the people who are delivering some projects, which is definitely not good. And delivery, in most occasions, this is IT, do projects in kind of self-defense operation mode, which is so wrong. How to achieve the equilibrium in the enterprise? Well, at first, each and every initiative needs to pass through some kind of justification. We need to draft it using some business case. In some of our later courses, we will address that in details, but here I'm just sharing with you some approaches with which you can raise up some percentage of success in your projects. So definitely starting with justification, so you need to draft the business case. You need to evaluate these initiatives. Are those initiatives aligned with the strategy or not? So this justification and this evaluation needs to be established and needs to be done using the business case. Later on, we need to prioritize. So with the business case is so important document. This is not a document which is set in stone. This is not static document. This is document who needs to live throughout the entire project life cycle, and we will talk later on much more about this. So based on the facts communicated using the business case, we can do some prioritization. So not only evaluation, but do some prioritization. There exist some challenges on this prioritization level because you can quantify some of those initiatives and you cannot quantify some other part of this initiative, such as, for example, you have initiative for raising some brand awareness. It is very hard to quantify, in financial aspect, this kind of initiative. So we will deal with prioritization in some other courses as well. And later on, we need to provide a selection. So with this funnel, we are doing several things. We are justifying the initiative, we are prioritizing, and we are trying to align everything with availability of our resources, with our availability, whether we are not available to execute this initiative in order for deliver some project. In this selection process, again based on the business case, properly structured business case, we can decide whether we are going to outsource something or insource, whether we are going to buy or build. So this is the point of making decision. Typical prioritization up to now is done by force. So who is louder wins. So fighting for the resources are not supposed to be that way, but we need to properly structure the way how the fighting should be done. So not fighting, but properly prioritizing. And as I said, we will be communicating much more details about this prioritization thing on the portfolio level in some other courses. In the next lesson, we will face the challenges at the very project foundation. We will deal with the challenges of how the project should be established, how to establish the foundation of the very successful project, and where are we making mistakes. Thank you for now. See you in the next lesson.